Y'all remember when our own media worked together with big tech to censor information and campaigned to elect Joe Biden during the last presidential election?
No.
Just weeks before the last presidential election, the nation's oldest newspaper, the New York Post, published reports about Hunter and Joe Biden's business dealings in certain countries. The concern was that some of these business dealings might be slightly nefarious in nature and potentially implicate a presidential nominee. Information that any reasonable citizen would deem worthy of consideration before casting a ballot. Nevertheless, nearly every U.S. corporate media outlet suppressed the story. Then, we all witnessed what was easily the most severe case of pre-election censorship in modern American political history. Twitter locked the New York Post account for close to 2 weeks. Twitter also blocked any and all references to the reporting by all users. Users were barred from even linking to the story in private chats with one another. Additionally, Facebook announced that they would algorithmically suppress discussion of the reporting to ensure that it didn't spread. You see, in totalitarian systems you exist and then you don't. Are we a more informed and better society because of this wholesale censorship? Is this a world we want to inhabit, where those who know everything about us and about whom we know nothing can instantly erase us? Fake news, harm reduction model, information pollution, information disorder. They have all sorts of Orwellian phrases to justify censorship. Meanwhile, they peddled their own fantasy that Russia was responsible for the election of Donald Trump. It's a stunning inability to be remotely self-reflective or self-critical, and it's ominous as we move deeper and deeper into a state of political and social dysfunction. And all of this censorship was done despite the fact that 50 former intelligence officers said they had no evidence to suggest the emails were falsified or that Russia had anything to do with them. But fast forward to September of last year, and what do we have? Media outlets gradually starting to admit that they got it wrong. The Hunter emails were real, with the New York Times going so far as to actually authenticate the original story that was so heavily censored by big tech just months prior to. Pause to read it here. Now, regardless of how you feel about Trump or Biden, every single one of us should be disgusted by this kind of revolting behavior. Nothing about the operating model of these tech companies indicates that they have our best interests at heart. These companies have demonstrated several times over that they are proactively working to dismantle the underlying precepts of our First Amendment. They've become the antithesis of free speech. They are a poison to the virtue of diversity of thought. In other words, it's starting to seem that nearly half of this country no longer believes in free expression. I'll finish with this. If you're not paying for the product, you are the product. Big tech is quite literally selling our reliance upon their platforms, so just stop relying upon them. I'm here to implore all of you, regardless of your political affiliation, stop supporting platforms that do not support the fundamental values of free speech, diversity of thought, and inclusion. Do not abandon rational dialogue, reason, and objectivity. These technocratic elites have an agenda, and I can promise you that agenda does not include you.